Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is John Ferry, and welcome to New Zealand Tattoo. Today, I had the great pleasure of talking to Lance Hadfield, who's the owner of 818 Inc. NZ in Mangawhai, New Zealand. Lance specializes in Ta Moko and Pacifica styles, and he also incorporates a lot of geometric and dot work. It was a really great conversation for me today to learn about Lance's journey in tattooing, from starting in Auckland, moving up to Mangawhai, and what he's now doing with his mobile studio around New Zealand. Please make sure you follow Lance's work under 818 Inc. NZ on Instagram. And if you like this conversation, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and look out for all the upcoming conversations we're having. Perfect.
Oh,
Cool, man. Well, yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I'd be really keen to find out or start with like just a little bit about young Lance, like where you grew up and kind of how you actually got into the business side of like the tattoo industry. So like, were you really artsy as a kid? Yeah, all that.
yeah. Shit, we were from where I grew up. I grew up in Waterview. So not many people knew where Waterview was until they built the tunnels.
Yeah.
Wasn't really on the map type place to grow up. And then it was sort of classed, I suppose, as Avondale. We lived in Avondale as well. Moved to Australia for about a year. Also lived in up north, up the far north, 90 Mile Beach for about a year.
Wow, yeah.
But always gravitated back towards Auckland, I think, because for the old ladies' work.
Yeah.
When we came back, I went to Green Bay. Oh no, we lived in Avondale again, but I wanted to go to Green Bay because my cousin went there.
Yeah.
And they had uniforms. I wasn't into uniforms, so we went to Green Bay. And my old lady said to me, if you're going to go there, you better make it every day. You got a bus, so no wagon and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And she still talks about it to this day. She's like, he went every day. He didn't wag. Yeah, so I ended up Green Bay. I suppose that's what gravitated us towards Glen Eden. We always stayed out West Auckland after that.
Yeah.
Which I suppose if you fast forwarded, that's how we ended up in Glen Eden, 818 Inc.
Yeah. And so what were you quite arty at school or just at home, or like was art a big thing for you at high school?
Oh shit, man. I was one of those kids that drew on everything.
Yeah, cool.
Like magazines, but I always gravitated towards Maori patterns and moko.
Yeah.
As a young, obviously half caste, fair skin looking kid, I wasn't too sure if I was allowed to do it.
Got it.
Yeah. So from school, I went to. I had to get a job. Like when you leave school, you got to get a job, otherwise stay at school. So I left after fifth form. I think I went back for a month, and then I got a job at the Tip in the Green Waste area. So I was actually a digger operator before I did anything sort of towards tattooing because I had to get a job.
Yeah.
So while there, my uncle I was drawing designs because tattooing, it wasn't as, it still had that stigma when I started, sort of drawing designs and stuff. So I was working there, drawing designs, and then I'd get paid for those on the side, and then Steve Marching. So my uncle said to me one day, he's like, I'm getting some gear in from the USA because you couldn't buy it like you can these days. So he ordered some gear in, and he goes, you might as well give it a go.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, man, like you can rub out the paper. I'm happy just doing designs.
Yeah.
He ended up getting me up north one day and said, we'll tattoo the neighbour. So, yeah, all right. He comes out, takes his shirt off. And I thought, fuck, I've never tattooed before. I've drawn all my life. Obviously, against the grain, I never listened to my art teachers and stuff. And I said to him, "Oh fuck, I'm pretty sure I could do better than that." He gets in the chair. Uncle puts the stencil on. He does he did the head. It was a dragon. He did the head. I did the body. Then he shaded the head. I shaded the body.
Oh, rad.
So anyway, a lot of my family members were like, "Shit, man! Like, you should keep it up." But it wasn't a career choice back then.
Yeah,
it was still had that 90s and 80s stigma, like just bad shit. Not something you'd make money off or go anywhere with. So that sort of went from there, and then I think I started tattooing at home. So I was tattooing a lot of cousins and mates and stuff because, like I said, there was no social media. So you just had to know people that were keen. And everyone with Auckland's keen, still are. So from there, I thought I'd better set up a proper space at home. So I did that. I went down to Western Tattoo, where I used to send all the people who I designed for. And he goes, "Oh, I heard you're tattooing, do you want to come in and hang out?" And started going in on Sundays. Because, I liked my drink, back then as a young West Aucklander. So I think he wanted to see whether I'd show up.
Yeah, cool.
And I think we'd done about 4 or 5 Sundays. And he said to me, "You want to be here full time?" And because of all the stigma and stuff from like the previous years, I never ever thought I'd end up at Western Tattoo. There wasn't that many studios back then either, but Steve's shop was like where you wanted to be if you wanted to tattoo. But I hadn't quite got it in my head that this was going to be something I'd do forever. And then, pretty much the rest is history, like on that side of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When you said before you were obviously designing tattoo designs, and then were you selling them to Steve or selling them to like people that wanted them, and he'd take them in?
The people I knew. So I only designed, and then I think that probably added to like the later years where he sort of brought me in.
Yeah, got you.
He's a bit of a funny fellow. Like he said, "Fuck, I thought I'd rather get you in than have to do all your shitty designs that you send people in with."
I was gonna say, yeah, like did you obviously got to see the finished product, like once you designed it, he tattooed them, and then like was there much of a difference?
Nah, man, that fella, if you bring something in, he used to do it exactly to suit, like, because I used to take my own designs in when I started getting tattooed as well.
Yeah, cool.
And bang in the stencil machine and bang.
Let's go, yeah.
In those days, though, I didn't quite realize what everyone's got their style.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that back then. And as I went through the years with him, I realized how almost annoying that can be.
Yeah.
And to give that artist, especially like him, like a Polynesian or Mangawhai, probably Japanese, isn't it? To give them, I sort of understood that after, but I wasn't, I was fresh out of high school and stuff, and I had no idea. I was getting like $20 for a design. I was happy.
Yeah, so it seems really strange after you've been tattooing for quite a few years. When you say it to someone that they kind of don't get it, you're like, find someone that actually does that style. But so many people are unaware. You think a tattooist is just a tattooist.
I've really made a point over the last few years of getting tattoos from people in other styles, which I like and I follow, and then being able to go, "Oh, well, like that's his work right there, or that's her work right there."
Yeah. So when you first started at Steve's place, were you just doing the stuff that you had already been doing at home, or did you start taking on quite a whole bunch of new styles? Because obviously before that, people were coming to you and you just whack a tattoo on. Or
when you start there, he just chucks you straight in the deep end, man. He's like,
yeah,
"What don't you do?" And I was like, "Oh, like portraits and Polynesian stuff." He was like, "You could be doing all that shit here." If I look at some of the styles and things that I do and have done over the years, I'm able to because of that. You know, it's if I didn't do those things, I probably would have stayed in a lane and been real stubborn, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I got chucked in the deep end, man, and I think everybody does there. But like you see, the fellas that come out of that studio, man, it's cool for me to like. I grew up watching my parents and they get tattooed there, so for me to work there and not only still see it have that attraction to people this era and decade and whatnot, it's fucking amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. You're ingrained in that history. It's must be such a privilege. So so when you were like, obviously, how long were you at Western?
I think I did about 5 years there.
Right.
And that's sort of, I think at the time I felt like I was getting pushed out, but like with other artists coming in, but
yeah, sure.
It was more everyone else, you know, they're like, oh, you need to do your own thing, make your own money. And I was, dude, that's fucking Steve Marching, man.
Yeah.
You know, like this was the pinnacle studio for my, like Polynesian and Moko go, and I think, and for me to walk away, it was quite big because it wasn't an easy decision, and I wanted to really get back into my lane, but I had a new understanding in that for it. I wasn't as stubborn as I was before I started at Steve's.
Sure.
But like I think it was about 5 years, going on 6. Yeah.
So before you went out on your own, do you reckon you found kind of your niche, your like that style that you're pretty well known for now? Did that start developing then, or was it when you actually went on your own that you went, okay, now I have to kind of reinvent myself? Or
it didn't even start when I started my own shop, like you would assume. But because I moved, you know, I wasn't far from Western, people were still coming, and I did try and establish myself as, like, you know, doing that style that, like you said, I'm known for now.
Yeah.
I wanted to really focus on customizing, like, and blending Westernized pieces with Moko and Polynesian stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I just didn't want to do the stick-on tattoos anymore.
Yeah.
So no, it probably took, honestly, another 2 or 3 years. But still, because you have these overheads and stuff, you know. So
of course, yeah.
You can't be like, nah, I don't do that. Because I knew quite a lot of people that I tattoo, you know. So I don't want to be like, nah, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I was capable of it, because we're coming from Westerns. So yeah, it still took quite a few years, but now I'm really, really happy with the groove I'm in, like where I'm at, where I'm going. When the next generation and wave of artists came, you know, like, it's like, shit, man, these dudes don't even look like tattooists, you know, like, they're nice and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I'm part of that wave.
Yeah, barely any tattoos. A couple with none.
Yeah.
But my opinion has changed from then till now, because like then I was like, fuck, I wouldn't go to anybody without a fucking tattoo.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, it's not about that. You know, like you see these fellas there haven't got tattoos, and they're pulling out the meanest stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that they're so lucky. Like, they got YouTube, you know, like you can go to supply shops here now.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
So when you moved up to Mangafi, was it always the plan to kind of to do it where you're doing it at the moment in Mangafi, but as well as do the on the road kind of caravan, build that as well, that studio?
I wanted to do the mobile thing when I started 818.
Okay. So you wanted to do the mobile one back then?
Yeah, but I never told anybody about it.
Wow.
I might have told a couple of people in my family about it, but I figured I'd better establish myself, you know, do the studio buzz.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to actually set it up to leave to somebody. So I suppose I was trying to get like a mini expo thing going. You know,
Yeah.
a bunch of different artists. You just pay rent, da 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 da.
The revolving door.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool,
and
man.
to not have to send anybody away.
And so, how's Mangawhai going, man? I mean, I've been up to the studio. I love it up there. Like the piece that you gave me was epic. You enjoying it?
I think it's wound me down.
Oh man.
I think I was pretty tightly wound down there, to be honest. A lot of people go, "Oh, you're just getting old," blah blah blah. And but I think I've always wanted to live like this. I just didn't think it was going to work. You know, I didn't think people were going to travel up here from Auckland or from wherever.
Yeah.
But when they travel from the South Island or like the other side of Taupo and that, it just bugs me out still.
Crazy,
Like,
eh? It's just testament to your work, you know. Like when you're pumping out stuff that no one else is doing, or that you're like the industry leader of that sort of specific kind of style, you know, with the moko, and you've got the dots and you've got the geometric patterns. When you see someone doing that as regularly as you are, you can't help but want that, you know, like, and that's why people will travel, obviously.
When I moved up and then COVID hit, and then we'd finished building the trailer, I literally thought once it all opens back up again, I'm going to have to drag that thing down to Auckland every month.
Yeah, yeah.
Just live. And it's been quite the opposite. I think I've been down there once in it. We've gone up to Kirikiri, down to Tauranga, Whangamata so far. I know how to set up a studio. Like you saw the temporary studio when you came up.
Yeah, man.
But set up something that's moving. There's so many other fun like things that you don't account for.
Yeah.
Because I've set up a studio twice. I can do that. I think that helped as well. Like with living up here, it gave me something new to try.
Yeah, look, yeah.
Like even today, like I think I got to do this or on it, because I constantly think if you were to see that on the road, would you contact them?
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a test, that one, to knock that big studio down into 2.1 by 4.8 meters.
I don't know how you do it, man. You're not a small boy, like you and the client in that little area.
It's like Tetris.
Yeah.
But you know how we work at expos, you know?
Yeah.
The booths for the expos, a single man booth is smaller than that.
Tiny, yeah. You figure out pretty quick what you need and what you don't, right?
Yeah.
So you like obviously you were keen to get that up and running a little while ago. Like what's the last couple of years been like for you up there, as well as with that obviously being placed a little bit on hold with this whole COVID thing? How's that impacted you?
The original COVID thing actually worked in our favor.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would have had to close up shop, move up, have clients at both ends, and move my house and the studio. It didn't halt us up, as in like the last 2 years has been COVID. What halted the build was I don't know anybody out there. When I was trying to build it like the old studio, so it was that when people came, I had the same vinyl guy. Same vinyl, same color walls.
Yeah, yeah.
I feeling that you were like, if you'd been to 818 in Glen Eden, it was like a mini one.
Yeah.
It actually worked in my favor always. COVID, the lockdown, the move, having 2 years to actually do it properly.
Yeah.
Because I am like so wrapped with it now. Like
it looks beautiful, man. I think it looks amazing.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah, it's such a special thing to have, like with you especially. I feel like you do quite a lot of conventions as well, and I'll get to all your awards in a second because there's so many of them. But you obviously you've done quite a few conventions now, and you've traveled, so you kind of know what you need versus what you don't, and what you can make do with.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. So to the awards. Yeah. Do you remember when you said to yourself, however many years ago, I'm just going to go for it now? And I go, just wipe out every convention I can possibly do.
No. It wasn't. Everyone says that. Like we've built it up. Like I didn't like the very first one we won was 2017 at the Christchurch Expo. Yeah. I never really did expos and entered anything. It wasn't like I think I followed in Steve's footsteps as I went to things and did things. And he was like, no, never mind that. Go down there, do the work, get some more work, all good.
Yeah, cool.
Never mind the comps. So we won our first one 2017. The biggest push for me was that, like, say if you go to Japan, Japanese tattoos are, at the expos. They're the front sort of thing. And here, not to I love all art and that, not to say anything bad, but the portraits and stuff were the front runners in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We got some amazing artists, I'm not trying to talk them down or nothing like that. But I figured, I was like, we need to make sure that Ta Moko and Polynesian artwork is seen at the same standard by the judges, and also by over, it needs to be at the forefront or side by side.
Yeah.
But that sort of gave me that drive, which is, I suppose, got us to, I think we're near 50 now. And that's from 2017. Just good. The new one in Queensland, I think.
Yeah.
But that, even just saying that, sort of blows my mind. When I wrote it down too, I was like, man, that's only 4 years, say.
Yeah.
We've only got kind of expos, we're not like USA.
That's just because you're relatively humble, It's
yeah. Well, I think I didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it for Moko and Polynesian art.
Yeah, man. I find it's always a trippy thing with the competitions, because I've been to a few conventions where the best of the day, on the Sunday, not best of show, but best of the day is a piece that someone's been working on for a couple of days, and people kick off about it because it's not just that day, or stuff that's tiny gets an award over stuff that's big, and they're like, but the effort, it's a really, obviously the judges have a pretty tough job doing it.
Yeah, I think that's up to the event organizers, things like that just drive me even more. I think it's the negative stuff that actually drives me, to be honest.
Yeah, man.
When you can't do something or this and that. When people are like, oh yeah, good on you, I don't know how to take that. I'm like, I get all awkward and shit. Oh yeah, oh shit.
Yeah.
When someone's like, yeah, you can't do that, I'm like, you fucking watch me.
Yeah.
But that's what ultimately, all those things is what gives me the drive that everyone asks about.
Cool.
Everyone's like, how do you do that? It's like, you're told you can't do this. You work at the tip. You work for Steve Marching.
Yeah. And
those are my ingredients to why I can do those days and big sessions and stuff like that. Because that drives there.
So what drives you these days then? You're obviously from an outsider looking in, it looks like everything's going pretty well. You've got some constant clients coming in. You've got the mobile studio. You've got the awards. What's pushing you these days?
What I just said will always drive me till the day I die.
It's always there, eh? Chip on your shoulder kind of thing?
It's, I just think about those that probably didn't.
Yeah.
So a part I skipped that probably should be, I'd say known, was after school, I was a little shit, as most people are in West Auckland.
Yes.
I ended up having to do PD at Hawani Waititi. I did my PD and I never left. I stayed for another 2 years and I started a whakairo course there. A lot of people have gone to art school or they graduated and, I didn't. I dropped out, started sixth form, worked at the dump, landed myself in hot water, PD, At that point, it was jail or sort yourself out.
Yeah.
So I went to the marae with a chip on my shoulder, and I came out of there realizing that I am Maori.
Yeah, cool.
And I am capable of this stuff. So that is a huge drive, and that crossed with what I was saying just before, is what will continue to drive me, because I think how many people didn't, not just Māori, like how many musicians, people that are good at other things, didn't try because of their teachers or their peers or whatever, because they dumb them down. So that continuously drives me.
So with the moko stuff, are you kind of constantly looking at moko designs, Maori books about Maori designs? Are you just in nature a lot? What are you kind of drawing inspiration from for your? Because I can see the big piece behind you, the big painting. Obviously, you're doing a lot of that stuff at the moment as well. Where are you getting the artistic inspiration?
So the art pieces I've been doing lately, they're pieces that I've always wanted to do, but I've always been too busy down in Auckland.
Yeah, cool.
I go for walks in the bush up here. So you see things, colours, a lot of the patterns and stuff, the overall pattern and layout is taught from Hoani Waititi and before and around that era.
Yep. And
I just manipulate it.
Yeah, those are your fundamentals, yeah?
Yeah, I got like a base, and then I build off the base, and then I suppose just call it contorting and manipulating. And
yeah, cool. So what's the next couple of years look like for you then with the mobile studio, with the art? Where do you kind of see it all going?
I want to do a circuit. We're better off going to things like, we went to Beach Hop earlier this year.
Cool.
And we parked up at a mate's, and those that actually were 100% keen messaged or came over.
Yeah, cool.
My ultimate goal, or I suppose bucket list thing to do before I check it, would be to just start from here, go all the way up one coast, all the way down the other coast, right down to the bottom of the south, way back up. But yeah, with the kids and school and all that sort of stuff, I'm not too sure how it would pan out.
Surely they're always going to become tattoo artists anyway, so this is probably the best schooling they could get.
Well, I don't like to say that school didn't help me out, Yeah, I think there's certain things in life that they miss teaching.
Yeah,
definitely more travel. We want to travel more. Yeah.
Travel New Zealand. You want to go overseas as well? You want to go do some conventions overseas?
Oh, we got invited to the Empire State Tattoo Expo.
Rad. Yeah.
And we were going to be part of CCI magazine because we were on the cover of the magazine a couple of times.
Cool.
So that it's a Californian tattoo mag, and I flew all the way over there, and I got sent back.
Crazy.
I have to be frank with it. Like, I'd love to go overseas everywhere.
Yeah.
But with my affiliations in the club, there've been people back from Australia for like the last 2 years.
Yeah, got you.
And we got invited to the was it Taiwan?
Oh.
Expo. Yeah. But New Zealand travels, so to travel with that is, I suppose, to replace the fact that I can't travel internationally.
Yeah, man.
Anymore.
Yeah, and it must be so good for your kids to be able to see all of New Zealand that way, man. It's so cool.
But that's the end result as well. To get to see more of the country, meet more of the locals in each area and things like that.
Yeah. Are you in touch with a lot of moko artists around New Zealand?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was looking at some of your stuff today and some other sort of moko art around New Zealand, and it's cool to see how fine some of your stuff is. as well as obviously you've got the nice thick lines. You've got a lot of fine work as well, and that's something that you don't see too much of with the well, at least some of the moko stuff I was looking at. A lot of it's kind of the same sort of needle size for the whole piece. That's quite cool to see you know, swapping out, because you're obviously using a pen, are you? So you just cartridge in and out. Yeah.
But I grew up seeing that style that you're referring to.
Yeah.
I just thought, to look at it, it was quite busy. So to frame the small lines, it also gives it's like a bit of eye trickery.
Absolutely.
The inside line actually appears a lot finer because you have a framed heavy line on the outsides.
Yeah. Aesthetically, I think it's for aging purposes as well. I think it just looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it holds really well, and I like it.
Yeah. When you're tattooing, like when you did the back of my neck, we didn't really talk too much. I was more keen on just getting you to kind of go for it. Do you have many people that come to you with a full backstory of what they're after and what they want to tell with it? Yeah,
a lot of people. So I'd say it's like 50-50 probably.
Yeah, got you.
So a lot story, and then a lot want a piece, but I suppose they're unsure of a lot of things.
Yeah, sure.
I meet quite a lot of people that grew up the same as me with the racism and stuff like that. You can have a big story, you can have a little story. Some have even gone, I just want a piece.
Yeah.
I still talk enough to establish a story of some without them even knowing, and then you tell them, oh, this is this, and then they just go, oh, shit.
Look, I don't want to hold you up for too much longer, bro. We've already been talking for quite a while. I was real keen to just ask you about the Maori tattooing and Ta Moko scene for you in New Zealand. Like, what are your thoughts on kind of the where it's like come, obviously, and where it is at the moment, and where you maybe see it going? Because I think it's so celebrated at the moment, but there's always going to be, well, hopefully not always, but there's a stigma to people that wear it and how it's perceived. And I mean, even getting mine from you took me ages just to get that courage. Like, what are your thoughts on the scene at the moment and where it's kind of headed?
I think it went through a period there, I think probably like around my grandparents' era, where it was like sort of like shadowed and outcasted, and they wanted to do that with the language and that as well. So
some of the biggest parts of the culture, right? That's how things are handed down. And yeah.
And then you had fellas like Gordon Toy, and when I was coming up, you know, they were part of I suppose it's called a revival, or you know, they were the only people doing it. How there's quite a few artists now.
Yeah, sure.
That makes me like so happy to leave. But for me to go through all that stuff when I was younger and all that, and to actually be, you said front runner, which is like crazy. I actually don't know how to put it in words, man. Like, it's something I would have never ever planned.
Yeah.
Me to be where I am for Ta Moko to be where it's at as well. When I came up, I looked up to people like Gordon and Mark, you know, to Pentaho, even other artists, you know, that aren't Moko artists, because that was all we had out there, you know, like we weren't sure of what we could and couldn't do. I never would have thought all those years ago that I'd be inspiring anybody, you know. When I was in PD, fucking painting graffiti off walls and stuff like that, working at the tip, even at school, back to a kid. It's the same level as where Moko's at for me personally. I never could have planned or wished or hoped that would happen.
Yeah.
So the way it's heading is really in the right direction. The Moko is still it's an identity, and it's a, you know, whakapapa, the genealogy, everything is, the essence of it is all in getting those pieces done.
Yeah.
I think it's got to where it is because of how many artists there are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we only had a handful, and now we've got quite a few, so we can bounce way more off each other.
Yeah.
And non-Moko, Like, I mean, I wrote a list down of people, and there's people that's work that's not Moko, like Bosch Bradley, Emma Kerr, Andy Swarbrick, DBK. Like they're not Moko artists, but when you think about it as an art, I don't like to put it aside separately. Yep. Like you look at New Zealand as a whole and where the artists are at, fuck man, we're smashing it.
I was going to ask, man, that was going to be one of my questions was what's, and you've listed 4 there and they're all epic. Like what are some Kiwi artists that you're like they're the front runners in your IG or ones that you just love looking at, seeing what they're coming up with?
It was so hard to make this like little list because there's so many, but that I do follow and like. But most of them on Instagram. But Ta Moko, Tyler J, Teaser Arts, Andy from Ta Moko, Ernest Bradley, Andy Swarbrick, Jay Davis, Bosch Bradley, Todd Cooper, David Ormsby, Emma Kerr, DBK, I Proctor. They're just to name, honestly, a few.
So good.
But they're a lot of the artists that I see, and I just go, shit. Andy Swarbrick was probably one of the biggest, like blew my mind. And he has, every time he's seen me, he's made an effort to say what's up and that. And we're on a level like, you've seen Andy, eh?
I was actually fortunate enough I was in the booth with him at the last Wellington convention. He's full on, man.
Yeah, man, and it's so good to like talk to somebody that I met and that just blew my mind. Somebody like Andy Swarbrick to like give me 5 minutes. Like I didn't ask, he just, oh yeah, bro, blah blah blah. Honestly, man, his work blew me out the park. Like our industries, for the small amount of people that live here, like fuck man, we're pretty heavy in the industry. So it's crazy when you say stuff like what you said before, because I would never ever compare or rank.
Yeah.
But you see fellas online and get into stuff. So when you asked, I was like, oh fuck, I've only done 2 interviews and now on the fly.
Yeah.
So to think about one, I was, oh fuck, what the fuck do I say?
Yeah.
Jotted some stuff down, but pretty sure I covered most of it.
Yeah, man. You're like, I mean, before we finish up, is there anything else that you want to cover? Anything else you want to mention?
If a story's gonna be told, it can't be all fucking peaches and roses, and if I didn't do the bad shit I did and then I didn't end up doing PD, I wouldn't have ended up at Hawani.
Yeah,
wouldn't have probably stayed the lane that I did. And it's weird that I'm crucified now for being a member to not be able to travel when all the shit I did was before I joined the club.
Yeah, got you.
It's all previous to the club.
Yeah.
All that. And that stuff sort of, they tarnish you with it now.
Yeah, it sticks around, eh? Anyway, let me leave you to the rest of your day, bro. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
No worries.
I look forward to seeing all your all the stuff that's going to come up over summer, man. Because if you're going to be able to do some travel and see what you do, and I'm desperate to come and see you for some more as well.
Yes, sweet ass.
Cool, bro.
Bye, bro.
Talk to you soon. See you, dude.
Cool.